Welcome to the evening news from the Home. I'm your host, David O'Reilly. We are continuing our election format with a summary of the headlines, followed by news from the election campaign trail, followed by a report from our international correspondent, Gearoid O'Colmáin, on rising political violence and the assassination attempt on the Slovakian Prime Minister. A recent poll indicates a decrease in support for Sinn Fein, now at 23%, which is an 11-point drop across two polls. Conversely, Fine Gael's support has risen to 23%. This shift is notably seen amongst younger, urban, working-class voters moving away from Sinn Fein. Meanwhile, support for Fianna Fáil and independent candidates remains stable, with Micheál Martin receiving the highest approval rating amongst party leaders at 46%. Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico is in a critical condition after being shot by a lone attacker. The incident, described as the first significant assassination attempt on a European political leader in 2 decades. It occurred as Fico greeted his supporters. He suffered serious injuries and is currently in intensive care. The attacker, a former security guard and described as a self-radicalised lone wolf, cited dissatisfaction with government policies as his motive. Meanwhile, in Dublin, a man has been arrested on a public order offence after an incident involving Dublin European Election Candidate and campaigner Malachy Steenson earlier this week. Steenson alleged on Wednesday that he had been the subject of an assassination attempt after an incident outside his office in East Wall. Now on this topic, we go over to Gearoid O'Colmáin. The assassination attempt on Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico and the attempted stabbing of Malachy Steenson are a new phase in the war on democracy. Would you agree with that assessment? And why do you think these people are being targeted?
Well, Robert Fico has many powerful enemies. The World Health Organization in particular. His recent speech, where he basically attacked the pharmaceutical companies, accused them of profiteering and of damaging the health of the population, of murdering citizens in countries all over the world with their vaccines. This is the kind of rhetoric that we've heard from Robert Fico, which is, again, unique in the world. There isn't another leader in any other country who has been so vociferous in opposing the World Health Organization's attempt to vaccinate the world. So that is one agenda that he has opposed. Another agenda he has opposed, of course, is climate pseudoscience. He nominated an environment minister to his government that is skeptical of the UN agenda of imposing a certain view on what causes weather change and what and the whole anthropogenic climate change theory, which is basically the only theory people are allowed hear on the radio or see on the television. He has opposed that. He's also opposed the imperialist wars, in particular the war, NATO's war in Ukraine. He has been an opponent of these kinds of operations, and he wants a peaceful negotiation to that process. He's also opposed mass immigration in Europe. He does not want a population replacement in his country. So these are key agendas. He's also an opponent of LGBT. He will not have gender theory imposed on Slovakia. So pretty much all of the major global issues, if you take the big three, which is mass immigration, gender theory, and climate change, he's against all three, which makes him an enemy of the European Union, makes him an enemy of the UN. It makes him an enemy of world imperialism of all kinds, whether it's US or China. He's quite unique in that sense. He's not a far-right leader. He comes from the left. He comes from the Communist Party of Slovakia in the Soviet period, but the policy is a sort of a mixture of Slovak nationalism and left democratic politics. So the party is still social democratic, and they do not define themselves as far right. This is more in line with Marxism in the former Soviet Union, which never supported what Marxism in the West supports today. So, for example, Marxism in the former Soviet Union did not oppose the natural family. It did not endorse mass immigrationism, for example, as its key policy. So essentially, it's a social democracy, democratic ideology, which is more pro-worker based and pro-family based. And so on the other side, of course, he also supports Christianity. He identifies as a Catholic. He is a Catholic, and so it's social democracy as many people in the West would have understood it, let's say 20 years ago, before social democracy was bought by the financial oligarchs and turned into the circus that is essentially a form of social engineering which dehumanizes the population and makes them even more a prey to financial capitalism. So it is a left populist government that we're seeing, which is unique in Europe, and I think that's why there was an assassination attempt against him.
And as you say, Robert Fico is routinely referred to as far right. Why is he described that way?
Well, he's described as far right because the far left do not oppose financial capitalism. The far left are financed by financial capitalism. And so there isn't really any far left. If left, traditionally, I mean, the Marxist view of capitalism was that the ruling class ideology was essentially sort of grew out of the social relations of production. That means essentially that social relations of production create ideas. Ideas do not precede material conditions. There are certain material conditions for the kind of ideas you have about society. And today in our financial utopia, the ruling class ideology is everything I just mentioned: mass immigrationism, LGBT, climate change. This is what Bill Gates and the global oligarchs are promoting. This is capitalism. And the far left are the avant-garde of financial capitalism. This is their agenda. This is what they go out and protest for, not against. And so, of course, this is what the ruling class wants. So anything, but of course they call it far left. So basically, most people in the West are deeply confused about what constitutes far right and far left. Now, again, populist politics tends to break rules. Effective populist politics tends to bring different forces together and form coalitions. And that's what Fico has done in Slovakia. He has united with nationalist parties, and he sort of formed he's trying to basically create a new type of politics which would stand up for the people of his country, which again, we don't have leaders like that in the West, but this is not how the Eastern Marxists would have understood the difference between left and right. In the former Soviet Union, agendas that have been promoted since the 1980s, 1990s in Europe, the agendas I just mentioned, never formed part of their ideological apparatus, as it were. So it's a different discourse, it's a different paradigm, and that needs to be understood to understand a country like Slovakia.
Thanks, Gearoid. But before you go, our viewers might like to know, how is Robert Fico? What state is his health at the moment after the assassination attempt?
Well, there are conflicting reports. We're told that he will survive. He does seem to be in critical condition. There are conflicting reports. I do think he probably will survive at this stage, but I think the question is, will he be capable of continuing his mission as Prime Minister? or will this upset his agenda? I don't know. I think obviously his enemies are very powerful. The World Health Organization wants to push through the pandemic treaty, which will take away all that's left of national sovereignty. And if he's incapable of leading, I think he's a key figure right now in that region, in Slovakia, but also in the region of Central and Eastern Europe. And he would be a major loss for the democratic cause right throughout Europe if he does not continue as Prime Minister of Slovakia.
I'm Councillor Jerry Finnerty. I'm Fianna Fáil councillor for the last 15 years, and I'm a candidate at the forthcoming local elections again to be my fourth time return to Galway County Council. But of course the electorate out there will decide that.
How are you finding it on the doors? Are you going knocking on doors yet?
Yes, I've been out in the last week knocking on the doors. I've been very much concentrating in Gardai, which is my hometown and which is one of the larger towns in the constituency. Look, there's mixed views, and I gave this interview the other day to radio as well. And I know in certain other, like I suppose the things that are coming up are crime and antisocial behaviour. There's a certain motivation coming up in relation to migrants that are into the country, and then of course the whole homeless and the housing situation is coming up as well, along with the cost of living. So those are the general things I'm finding so far at the moment. We're meeting a lot of personal issues that people have as well.
Are you finding that people are angrier than normal, or are you finding them reasonable, or do you find them easier about life?
Well, I suppose people are anxious more than angry, you know, and I feel that there's a certain amount of uncertainty setting in, and I suppose the whole cost of everything going through the roof at the moment is a huge worry for people, and a lot of people are worried now that that's the way they are. But look, I'm lucky enough that the people I'm dealing with at the moment are people I'm meeting on a general regular basis anyhow, so what they'd be telling me is if I meet them down the pub, or if I meet them down the shop, or if I meet them out, that's what they're saying to me anyway, so it's nothing new, you know.
How's it going? How's the postering itself going? Have you a lot of posters to put up?
It's just going very well because it's a lovely day, thanks be to God, you know, the sunshine is out, so that makes it, you know, we've been doing this in difficult weather. We try, and I have a great team of lads there, Cahill and Martin, there with me, and we've been out since 6 o'clock this morning, so we've travelled right around the constituency. We're looking to put up about maybe 200 those poll posters, and we have about 20 larger 8x4 posters in. We try and spread it around the whole constituency. Of course, you have to be careful where you're putting them up. You can't have site views, you know, for people entering or leaving their home, and the same, you know, for people that are coming out of business, whatever. You have to be careful of that, and you have to be careful too that you don't infringe on people's property when you're doing it. And I suppose, of course, it's to remember where we put them as well, because they have to be taken down within 7 days of the elections as well. So they have.
Are you having bother around motorways or ESB poles or anything like that?
Well, we don't go on the motorway. You're not allowed to go on the motorway. That's under control of Transport Ireland. They'll take them down if you do put them on the motorway. You're not permissible to put posters on the motorway. Other than that, we don't have any real problems. We use ESB poles, we use aircon poles, we use council sign poles, and we use our own as well. We had about 60 stakes there starting out today, so we had as well of timber treated stakes. So we had.
Are you going up the ladders yourself, or have you anyone to go up for you?
I have two hardy bucks there beside me now, and I'm a fella now that's nearly gotten from climbing. I won't be climbing ladders. I may climb something, but not ladders.
My name is Jenta Gibbons, and I'm running in Galway City East. Yeah, it's going really well actually. Today is a really good day. There's a good few people home there, you know, locals that have been living here for a long time.
Have you been knocking on the doors much?
Yeah, well, I'm mostly dropping leaflets because I know the time of day, but there's some houses there with cars. They're sitting outside, or they'll come out after me. I had one house and he came to the door, and I literally only got in my line, "Do you vote?" And he was like, "No," and he closed the door. 2 doors up, he came running out after me. He said, "Oh my God, yeah, you have my vote." So, like, I've been speaking to loads now in one estate down there. I'm just trying to get all the ones done along this road, but the response is all the same, massive. They're excited as well. They're like, "Oh my God, there's Irish people standing up for Irish people." They all know, like, we're not being looked after in our own country, you know, so they're all quite concerned and glad that they see people standing up.
Would you say the general mood is relaxed or angry?
I think they're nervous. There's a lot of people angry as well, like in other estates that I've done on the other part of the City East, you know. But like that estate there now, a lot of people are nervous. So I think they know what's sort of coming. They know it's sort of getting worse, it's escalating, and they're sort of trying to think what is actually coming. And like, they're probably not prepared for it. Sure, who's ever prepared for, what's coming?
Sounds like you're an expert on the doors, but how did you get on putting the posters up?
Well, I had help now putting the posters up, to be fair. So the posters, that was grand, but they all went up in the right places, in the right little junctions, Like, there's posters everywhere, I see some posters there, and there's millions of them on the same road. I'm happy our posters are up. Like, I'm constantly having conversations with people that I thought would be on the completely different side, and they're actually not. They're going, oh my God, tell me more. Go onto the website. We all have social medias. Come and see what we're talking about. We're talking about stuff that people don't really talk about.
Have you had much hostility? Have you had any posters pulled down, any of that kind of thing?
Hostility in the estates? Absolutely none. And I'm delighted to say I have had nothing, which is great. Because I'm on my own a lot of the times. I do have some regulars, some locals around. They're saying, come up to my side and I'll go out with you. And I've yet to do some of that because they're busy at the moment. But I've mostly been out on my own. I'm not afraid. I grew up here, but no hostility. I know I'm hearing of posters around the country being taken down. I think Galway's probably okay. We have had word of a couple being stripped down. They don't like the wording. It's simple, plain wording. It's not rude wording. It's just simple wording, and they don't like it. That doesn't mean that we have to stop,
Because you have, according to the media, a controversial message. Yet you're saying you have not meeting hostility on the doors.
No. Like, and I'd say I've been out now about 9 or 10 times, and I've done all the different areas. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to one area and I'm doing a section, and then I'm going to another one, doing another section, because I don't want to just focus on one and get it done, and then I may not get every of them done, So like, that's all different estates of all different kinds of people, different ages, different occupations, and it's all the same.
We're all sort of independents. There's no whip in the party, so we all kind of have our own views, and we're not going to be led by anything. And so, yeah.
No, that's great. I'm interested in how you're finding putting posters up. You're not up the ladder yourself.
I'm not up the ladder myself, and as a woman, you can imagine it has been quite difficult for me, and I'm also very afraid of heights. But thankfully, I've had a lot of good gentlemen over the last couple of weeks that have offered to do the job for me. So, yeah, it's been great.
Fantastic. And how do you feel about going around the doors? Will you go on your own, or will you bring people with you, or?
In some situations I've gone on my own, and other situations I've had people with me, but because we're a small party, it's very hard to get a team put together. But I'm very comfortable in either area, Athenry or Oranmore, going on my own. I would have no fear about that, and I am getting a good response on the doors, so that it works well in my favour, better than some others.
And how do you feel the mood of the public is? Like, have you done much canvassing yet, or are you still putting up posters, or what way is your campaign going at the moment? And what do you think the reception you'll get at the doors?
I have done some canvassing, and I have found the reception very, very good, actually. People really seem to want a change now, that we've had enough of this for years, and it's sort of come to a head. And I think this is the first time, in a very, very long time, that there's options, that we can vote other than the major parties. So the options are there for people, and hopefully on the 7th they'll vote for us.
Have you many more? I'm holding you up. Have you many more posters to do?
A lot.
Okay, we'll let you go then. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
And tell us your name again.
Maria Carr. I'm running in the Athenry Oranmore area of Galway.
Thanks very much, Maria. Okay, good stuff.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Weather with the Hum. Let's have a look at the weather forecast for the weekend and upcoming week. Friday started out with cloudy and misty conditions in the east and the south, accompanied by patchy rain and drizzle. However, drier weather with sunny spells is expected elsewhere, As the day progresses, brighter skies will gradually extend into most areas. Highest temperatures will range from 14 to 20 degrees Celsius, with the best values inland during sunny spells. Northeasterly winds would be no more than moderate overland, but fresher along the Atlantic fringes. And on to tonight. On Friday night, expect mostly cloudy skies with a lot of dry weather and just an isolated shower. Some mist and fog may form under any breaks in the clouds, and lowest temperatures will be 10 to 12 degrees Celsius with light northwest or variable breezes. Saturday brings a good deal of dry weather with just a few light showers, mainly in the south and the east. Bright or sunny intervals are also expected, with the best of the prolonged sunny spells in the evening. Highest temperatures will generally range from 17 to 21 degrees Celsius, slightly cooler in the north and northwest with a light or moderate southerly breeze. Saturday night will be mainly dry with clear spells, although a few mist and fog patches may develop. Expect lowest temperatures of 7 to 8 degrees Celsius with light or moderate northwest breezes. And on to Sunday. Sunday will be mostly dry with sunny spells, although an isolated shower is possible in the northwest. Highs will reach 17 to 21 or 22 degrees Celsius with light northerly or variable breezes. And Sunday night will be mainly dry with clear spells, but there may be a few mist and fog patches. Lowest temperatures will range from 9 to 11 degrees Celsius with light variable breezes. Current indications suggest that showers or longer spells will persist into midweek with the ongoing risk of thunderstorms. And now the sun is back. As natural life is bustling, this week on our Nature Watch, we focused our attention on meadow flowers. These yellow flowers are called cow's lips. Scarlet pimpernel is what these blue beauties are called, but they come in red colours too. And on to Focal na Seachtaine. This week it's Léine Mhuire, which means cuckoo flower. Well, thanks for tuning in. That wraps up your weather forecast. Have a great weekend. Back to the studio.
So, to round up this evening's bulletin, we had the news in brief. Sinn Fein slump in the polls while Fine Gael rises, and Fianna Fáil and independence remain steady. The first attempted assassination of a European Prime Minister in 2 decades leaves the Slovakian Premier seriously wounded. And with the murder attempt on Dublin Euro candidate Malachy Steenson, we went to our correspondent Gearoid O'Colmáin in Paris for an international view. With 3 weeks to go to the election day for the European and locals, we caught up with a variety of local candidates as they put up their posters and got a feel for the mood on the doors. And with the summer's strong growth, we took a look at our Irish meadows with Tara and got all the weather for the coming weekend. I'm your host, David O'Reilly, wishing you a great weekend in the sunshine, and we hope you'll join us again next week with The Hum. Iha Wahagev.